targeting of my family. It just never stops. It's not the whole world. It just seems to be a few select people, and then they spread their reach out from there to the agencies they work, the companies they work, their friends, their family. Somebody is apparently screwing with us at Social Security too, and somebody's letting them. I applied for Social Security because it's recommended. Veterans Legal Resources, they recommend to, when you have significant number of disabilities, whether they're service connected or not, apply for both. Because one may be faster than the other. And eventually they all have to match anyway. So I did. But apparently somebody has interfered. First of all, they canceled the application just like they did with my veterans compensation case. They just deleted it right from the server. Now, is that a simulated server or not? I don't know. But I know somebody in Saginaw County, actually multiple people, are using simulators. That's why you're finding private property. They're having internet hotspots popping up all over the place. And then you'll find some of them along the road too. Usually they're 8 to 10 digits, big giant boxes that are on, actually they're more of like a cylinder onside the telephone poles. Those are Wi-Fi spots, but you need a special password to log into them. But they're all over the place. These are people that are violating civil rights, because what it does is not empower law enforcement or criminal intelligence investigator. It empowers criminals, the opposite. They're all over the place. Now, some of these people are QAnoners, not all. Some of them are extremely left Democrats. Like I said before, in some of my other videos, sometimes you find in crime and in terrorism, unlikely bedfellows will start eating together. Find it all the time. People just say, no, that's not possible. It is. You see it in the Middle East when you see Sunni and Shia join together to do terrorism. We got to get away from the cognitive dissonance theory that Western culture, especially America, is obsessed with. Not all people can't handle opposing ideas. Just like a very famous intelligence studies writer and researcher talks about his 4 waves of terrorism. The next wave is the one that's evolution. They will evolve past the 4th wave into the 5th. That's the one that's highly evolved. When you have different people sitting at a table and they're directing out people that wouldn't normally do anything together. They would be opposed. But they send them out as twos and they send them out alone. That's terrorism right now. We're in the 5th wave. And crime and terrorism always share the same bed. Always. Prostitution, drug trafficking, human trafficking. Human trafficking is a kidnapping and selling people, not the prostitution side. The same bedfellows, money laundering, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. But apparently somebody is going into the Social Security Administration pretending to be me and making my case even more difficult and complicated. So it was denied. But it wasn't denied for the usual reasons. It was denied because they said I didn't apply, which I did. And they said, per our meeting on such and such date. I never met them. This stuff will continue and law enforcement does nothing. So I will do what I need to do to protect my family, which I can legally do within Michigan State statute and United States Code. I will do what I have to do to protect my family, because obviously there's an onslaught against me and my family. They've broken up my marriage. They've ruined my name. And I think the sad part is the black community refuses These people that they know are lying, that they know are targeting my family, and they refuse to take action against them. They make the black community look bad, but they won't do anything. Apparently, at least in the Tri-County area, the black community is in the same exact situation culturally that Muslims were after 9/11. The same exact position. What are we going to do? What is the measure of blackness? If I turn in somebody who's also black, does that make me less black? Or if I'm not protecting our cultural continuity, whether a group is different sect or whatever, or somebody is more light skin or more dark skin, what's the measure of blackness? Do you hide things that family do that are criminal or even terrorist? If you turn against your family because they're doing things, you're like, no, that's not good. I'm not going to get involved in that. Or maybe you're a religious person, you're like, no, that God would not have me touch that at all. But you don't report them. What's the measure of blackness? This is a question for the black community. Even for your very families. My family know if I did something wrong, which is not going to happen because I'm not going to break the law, I would expect to go to prison. I've done it before when people tried to make trouble for me. I show up at the courthouse. I show up at the jail. Yeah, somebody claimed they saw a warrant in the system for me. No, somebody is messing with you, sir. That's not true. After checking my ID and running me through the system, because I know my conduct, including the ridiculous misdemeanor thing that was there's no evidence. There's more evidence against the perpetrator than there was against me. I mean, the real perpetrator. But what I'm saying is, even my family knows if they were doing something that broke the law, I've taken an oath, and I will hold that oath until I can barely lift a pen or barely lift my weapon to protect my family or to protect my country. And then the end, if people want to take that weapon, it'll be from my cold, dead hands. Thank you, Mr. Heston. With that being said, somebody is protecting people that are trying to also sabotage our Social Security claim, my Social Security claim. I'm a veteran. I did my time in the Middle East more than many others. I didn't get rich, whether in uniform or a contractor in a different uniform. Same. I didn't get rich. Never got rich. Brought back a lot of stuff like a lot of other people have brought back. And I'm not going to compare injuries and compare illnesses and compare anything. Because if people went over there, to me, whether they're sitting back at some, forward operating base that nothing happens, it's the same to me. They all served. Even if you're at a FOB that's not quite in a hostile area, I mean, as far as receiving, fire all the time, enemy fire, still, the potential for you to go into a firefight is there. So they all get my respect, every single one of them. Some lost a lot, limbs, lost their mental health, their mental coherence. Others lost their lives. They gave everything. And sometimes their family were not given what they should have been given. Still, everybody to me is a warrior. The only warrior to me that doesn't get as much respect is the one that cowers back, way, way back in the rear, and tries to intentionally avoid going forward. To me, that's barely a warrior. Barely. What, join for the GI Bill? Because you're unemployed? Or you're a patriot? Well, if you're a patriot, I guarantee your name is on a piece of paper somewhere to try to go forward. Quote Jack Reacher, there's only certain kinds of people who go in the military. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Those different groups that he talked about, yeah, I agree. But as far as the people that go into the military to just shoot people, I would say those are rare. But there's some. Yes, there are some. There are some. Sadly, our military has had some really monsters that served. Monsters. Just look it up. But sadly, that happened as it is, at least there are very few. Talking about less than a dozen in the history of our country that are veterans that were monsters. Less than a dozen. Thank God. Considering the millions that have went through. Thank God. That's lower than the normal population. So that says something about people that serve. Certain kind of character is built. Because monsters among us are very rare. In the normal population, statistically, there's a much higher chance. Military builds character. And it burns out things out of you. And if it can't burn out those bad habits, those bad attitudes, those failure-focused, crappy, poopy thinking, that's what they call it, poopy thinking, then usually those people are the ones that get kicked out. Or they're the fake valor types. You know, regardless to these things, the fact is that somebody keeps sabotaging, and I'm going to keep posting videos about it. Because I'm sure I'm not alone. I am sure I'm not alone. I'm sure I'm not the only veteran, especially in the Tri-County area, that this kind of stuff is happening. Just people are targeting me more. Because my background, I can identify things quicker than many other people can. Because of my knowledge of social media and marketing. Because of my education and training background. And because I don't get scared. I don't back down. Even people that, as soon as my daughter and I get to our complex, they try to quickly rush out, almost hitting my daughter on an icy road. And then they threaten me. Their threat's not going to go anywhere. That's why I put that down. I'm not looking for a fight, but I'm not going to let somebody threaten or try to intimidate my daughter and myself. I'll stand there and see what they do next. Hopefully just walking away. But I'm not going to turn my back to a predator. Or to somebody that uses the NGER word with me. First of all, depending on the use, NGER, I don't know you. So you're not my friend. So in that way, no, I am not that to you. I am not your NGER. I don't even know you. Really? Second of all, in the bad way, in my culture, you know, Caucasian and Asian, we don't address people in that manner when they're our foe. And we certainly don't look for a fight and threaten a daughter, little girl, who's standing in the road, and her father who tells you to slow down. These are the kind of people that live in this complex. A lot of them. Too many. And the good people that are in here don't say anything. Either they don't care. You know, again, for some people, there's that cultural issue, whether they're black or Hispanic or even Caucasian. Oh, I'm not going to say anything against somebody because they're like me. I only say something against the other. And other people just don't want to get involved. But the more you don't get involved, sooner or later you're going to be the target too. And there's going to be nobody left to stand with you. So I'll keep posting things and trying to encourage people and give people ideas how to fight back. Because in the Tri-County area, this stuff needs to stop. You know, there's some people moving into our complex that are some really bad people. They're being protected, and they're hiding, and they threaten people, and they try to intimidate people. Right now, while I'm making this video, apparently somebody knows, because they're throwing something at my window. I don't know, maybe snowballs or something? I don't really know. But somebody's throwing something at the window, or maybe it's the door. I can't really tell. They're throwing something there. And I can hear a voice down there on the sidewalk. Can't quite hear what they're saying. They seem to have left. But anyway, yeah, people will do that. We already know from a couple of agencies that people are listening through the walls and sometimes trying to record us. That's why troublemakers sometimes will meet us when we go somewhere. They'll pop up on the same bus, or they'll walk right in our face when we walk into the store. People that we have a history with, who've complained um, that we were inappropriate, but actually, in actuality, the truth was that they threatened us, or they got physically aggressive, or they tried to molest my daughter and myself. Yes, it's happened. People groped my daughter and myself 2 years ago. The police didn't do anything about it. Nothing. They blame the bus. It's not the bus's fault. It's the police's job to investigate. And it's various businesses and housing complexes and housing agencies that are tasked with a safe and secure and healthy environment. Isn't that the reason why they always try to come in people's houses? To make sure those things happen? That's what I thought. Hope I give you some ideas to fight back. I hope I encouraged people out there. That's the whole purpose of this channel. If we're alive when we leave this place and we're delivered, this channel will cease to exist. Because YouTube is supposed to be, in my opinion, is supposed to be used for something helpful. It's sad that I have to use it to document all of the civil rights and human rights abuses against my daughter and myself. And there are many, many. The 46,000, it's 46,000 now. Last time I posted a video, I said the 45 number. Well, people apparently came in the house and tampered with my laminator, and it's one of the good ones. So now we're up at $46,000. I've only used it 2 or 3 times this year, and I just used it a month ago to laminate some of my daughter's pictures because she's really budding as an artist, and I want to keep that stuff. I never had somebody, a parent, to keep my stuff from when I was little. Someday for friends or for a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a spouse. I never had that. I have nothing from when I was a kid. Nothing. I want my daughter to have a better life. I want all my kids to have a better life. But because of the targeting, I can't protect and be the dad I should be because people have kept us imprisoned here. But I wish that my kids would have that. I'm sure in the Philippines, knowing their mothers, yes, I've been married more than once, I'm sure they don't have that because I know their mothers. They don't have that history of their life to sit down and look at pictures in an album or on a device. Crack out that hard drive that's up in storage somewhere, Dad. They don't have that. I make sure that my daughter here has that. Despite people coming in and stealing stuff, besides messing with the laminator, some of her pictures that she's done the past 2 years, somebody came and stole those. Don't ask me why. Sometimes we have no reason. I can't explain why people take the stuff they take. Like the frying pan with no lid. Somebody stole my frying pan with no lid, was bought from a Family Dollar for less than $10, and it worked. It was okay. Somebody stole it. They replaced it with one that's all banged up. Somebody has sprayed some kind of adhesive so the Teflon barely works. Barely. Some kind of adhesive or some kind of cleaning agent. Wouldn't be me. The only thing I use to wash dishes is dish soap, very basic dish soap, and dishwasher soap, which is also very basic. I make it myself when I can and mix together very basic cleaning ingredients because I don't like toxins in myself or on the environment or in the environment. So I know it's not me, and I certainly didn't take my pan and bang it against something to get a bunch of dents. I know what I bought. And people dismiss these things as my memory, or they dismiss these things as, maybe it was a mistake or something. No. I know what I bought. I'm a very disciplined, very well gifted with attention to detail. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am well gifted with attention to detail. That's a very important thing in my personality. So the targeting continues. And I want justice for my children. God grant us justice till the heavens may fall. These people, they don't understand justice. These people, grace, as I've said before, would find it very difficult to penetrate them. They're very hardened hearts. Some of them don't care. Others, think that there's some kind of, vigilante. Others, they just assume things. You see a single parent, yeah, must be something wrong. Oh, it's a man. Oh, must be something wrong with that. You know, oh yeah, somebody that's another veteran that's unemployed. Oh, there must be something wrong with him mentally. They make these assumptions, and then they ruin people. Oh, I heard about this on the internet or that. They ruin people. Trolls. I think one of the greatest problems in our society today is trolls. The ogre trolls who just troll stuff and they have a mean and nasty attitude. Then you got the hoodie covered criminal hacker, wearing their sweatpants, making trouble. And then you got the stalkers who get a little bit of power from a complex or somebody that writes a check for rent, and then they stalk people, maybe even recording them, causing trouble for them. These are the problems in our society. And if we refuse to clean our society, then it may very well be the beginning of the downfall of the great America. Immigrants aren't the only problem, folks. And not all immigrants are the problem. Some people are legitimately trying to do things the right way, and I don't think we should group all immigrants together. And I think we shouldn't group all people together who will go on disability or, get some kind of welfare. My experience, most people that I've known, they want to get off it. And I've known a few people the past 8 years that are here that keep getting sabotaged. I know one lady that we see every now and then. She has been homeless so many times that I can't count on my hands how many times. Gets kicked out, something happens, homeless again. Gets kicked out, something happens, homeless again. Some of our neighbors have been homeless 3 or 4 times. These people are being targeted. We've met people on the bus also repeatedly homeless, and they can't explain why. These aren't people who are mentally ill or drug addicts or predators or perverts. They're just people, normal people. But they keep getting targeted and made homeless again and again and again. And sometimes when they're homeless, various housing places will get involved in forcing them on disability so they can get a payment for back rent. Are these blessings? Or are they disguised as blessings? Because it seems to me that people are being crippled financially, and they keep going through the same thing again and again. And if you look in the world through a Eastern point of view, even through a Christian point of view, if you're going to refer to the suffering servant or the suffering soul, sometimes these people become saints, other times they're just suffering souls or mystics. But then again, there's a difference between a mystic and a suffering soul. The mystic has their what's the word they use? Their periods of ecstasy where God embraces them. The suffering soul has nothing. So why are these things happening in the Tri-County area, especially Saginaw County? People having all these issues with agencies, people being repeatedly homeless, the law enforcement apparatus and the prosecutorial apparatus do nothing. But then when you look up at the board, when you're at the courthouse, we go there from time to time. You look up at the board, I've always been fascinated by law. I've known a lot of lawyers, a lot of pre-law geeks, worked in the courthouse in high school. I've known JAG people, who did stuff with JAG, and I find law very fascinating. It kind of goes hand in hand with, force protection, international security. Law just fits. And, it's strange when you look up at the boards and you always see the same, like the same same companies, same banks, same credit cards, suing people. It's interesting. And the same collection agencies, the vast majority of collection agencies don't regionalize their cases. They buy a portfolio of cases, monthly, yearly. Some of them, big money ones, they can afford to buy a portfolio of cases daily. Back in the day it was called tapes. It's not tapes anymore. Now it's just a bunch of portfolios of debt. Each portfolio of debt may have thousands of names in it. But why is it that you find the same people, at least in the Saginaw County, always the same companies, same collection agencies, same banks, same credit cards, suing people? I see lots of patterns here. Lots of patterns. And all it does is make me, I'm not going to conjecture about it. Usually the people that make conjecture and try to spin a yarn are either attention seekers, troublemakers, or they're some kind of paranoid, delusional, psychotic. But I just find it interesting to see these patterns. Why is that always the same every time you look up at the boards? So something's going on. Why is it that people always have problem with Social Security, with the VA, with the housing agencies, with MDHHS, people being targeted, benefits weaponized, medical care weaponized? Found out more information today. Apparently that the insurers now say that if you're a veteran, your VA is always primary. So they'll deny stuff. That's not true at all. I had to explain to the agent the only people that have insurance are disabled veterans. Otherwise, it's a case-by-case, medical issue by medical issue basis, and it's chaotic. If you're a veteran and you don't have a rating, you are not insured. Community care is on a case-by-case basis, and depending on your income level will determine if you have a copay or not. It's basically just like an HMO. But the thing is, when insurers deny stuff, because they say, oh no, the VA is going to pay for that, and then it causes veterans to be, to get a debt collector to start contacting them, threatening service. What the heck? If you don't have a rating, you don't have a policy number, therefore you don't have insurance through the VA. And you're not going to get ambulance or ER paid for unless it's through the VA, which means you drive there or you take a bus there and go through your urgent care or your VA ER if they have one. Near us, there's only 2 VAs that have an ER. It's Detroit and Ann Arbor. And then you get the VA to pay for ambulance and ER if they have to send you out. How many other veterans are being billed and threatened to be sued because apparently some of the apparatus, the contact centers, again, something unregulated, something that allowed to internally quality check. Let me tell you, my experience with MDHHS, their quality checking, of course, the judge found in their favor. Duh. Well, I bet you the same thing happens at contact centers. Internal quality control? Come on. But how many other veterans are being messed over like this, Being threatened to be sued, and collection agents contacting them, crossing boundaries, putting them on lists, sending them stuff in the mail, demanding payment for something that should have been covered by their private insurer, by Medicaid. Then, if possible, through the VA. But again, if they're not rated, they're not going to have an insurance policy. So it's going to have to go through community care. And if it wasn't referred by a VA physician, it's going to be denied. So why is this happening to veterans in the state of Michigan? So much stuff is happening to derail people in the state of Michigan, especially veterans. It's criminal. It really is. It's criminal. So check all of your affairs if you're a veteran, and if you're taking care of one, make sure everything is set. That way your veteran doesn't get targeted. Check their social security accounts. Check the paperwork. Check their policy if they're rated through the VA, whatever agency, whatever organization is carrying their insurance policy that's outside the VA. Check it. If they're getting some kind of help or assistance from the state of Michigan, check their MDHHS files. Make sure everything is okay. Keep copies of everything you can. This is a very confrontational atmosphere in Michigan. You got Democrats fighting, Republicans fighting for control of the state that goes back and forth at least as long as I've been alive. I've seen both red and blue governors. So just protect yourself and your family, because in this era of confrontation, it seems that law enforcement and criminal justice apparatus seem to be paralyzed.